Hello, Physionic. Welcome to the Dedicated Physionic podcast. Today, we will be, my name is Nicholas Verhoeven, molecular medicine student. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about a hypothesis. So, not an established fact, but a hypothesis coming out from a group that believes that brain energy metabolism is linked to obesity. So the idea being that children up to the age of about 5, their brain expends about half of their total basal energy, which is a massive amount of energy. So essentially their brain just lights up because most likely it's going through this growth phase of its development, which makes sense, of course. And of course, it's going to continue to develop over time until roughly the age of 25, 26 years old. But that said, they believe that there's a link between obesity and that energy metabolism. So about 50% of the body's metabolism at that point is coming from the brain, is being fueled by the brain. The expenditure of energy is by the brain. And they found this link that with more obese individuals, more obese children or fighting childhood obesity, more obese children tend to have lower brain metabolism. So they're expending less energy with their brain. So by contrast, if you were to compare that to, let's say, the average adult, their brain is roughly about 20% of their basal metabolic rate. So there's a substantial drop there from childhood to adulthood, but that makes some intuitive sense because, of course, you're not developing your brain. Your brain can certainly still change, but it's not going to be growing at this massive rate as you're integrating and learning all these different things about life in general. It's not even just education in terms of formal education. It's literally just experiencing life. Your brain has to integrate all that information as well as how you move and a bunch of different things. So what they propose, this group, this research group, what they propose is that we change our education system to facilitate greater brain energy use. So getting that number from, if you have obese children, having them learn a little bit differently to then stimulate that brain growth to a point where you get this subsequent rise in energy expenditure. Now, if I'm frank, I don't think that's necessarily going to work, mainly because I don't think that the brain energy metabolism is based on a formal education system. I think it's far more related to just its overall growth, and education can certainly play a role in that, but it's not going to be a major part of the whole energy metabolism of the brain. And they've also found that there's links, and another reason why they think that is because there's links between the amount of percent of energy expenditure from the brain in these children and the link to particular obesogenic genes. So there's a link between the lower levels of brain energy expenditure and the actual expression of those particular genes. So obviously there's a correlation there, but I think this is a good example of sometimes people focusing too much on one particular aspect. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like I want to undermine the fact that 50% of their metabolism is from their brain, but I think going forward after that 5-year mark of age and even beyond that, I would imagine that other factors play a huge role aside from the brain. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think that an increase in education or a change in education would lead to, and with the purpose, again, not just to learn about obesity or something like that. It's literally to increase the energy expenditure of the brain, do you think that that would be enough to mitigate some or all of the obesogenic trends that we are seeing in our current culture? All right, that's what I've got for you. Hopefully you found it informative, interesting at least. And I will have, of course, the paper linked in the description box for you. And I will hopefully have the pleasure of speaking with you in the next one. Have a good one, guys. See ya.